Hey guys, back at it. This is day 323 in my 1 year daily diary challenge. This challenge was prompted and started through a 100-day challenge that was intuitively pressed on my heart and spirit to complete. It came to me in a meditation devotional session, and I just had this clear, concise, 3 times it came to me, 100 days, audio daily diary, large platform, very scary to me in the moment. And I pushed through, moved through, and now we're here in day 323. It's been an amazing journey. I am so thankful for everybody and anybody who has listened in and is supporting me this way. 100% just doing this for, my benefit. And I do love to hear those comments and see those subscriptions. It's it just brings me an extra bonus of joy. So I do thank you so much for supporting me this way. So let's get into the day. Today is Thursday. It is a school day. It's been so beautiful the last couple of days, just in the 60s in the morning, just crisp and cool and just beautiful. So I've been enjoying that just every morning, getting the kids up and ready for school and enjoying that crispness. So got up, and I have been doing a lot of work with the Kabbalah, learning, taking the courses. So I have shifted my morning meditation. I still have my 2 alarms. I have one at 6:30 and one at 7. 7 is the time I need to get out of bed and wake up. 6:30 is my wake up, and I typically fall back to sleep doing this, but wake up, turn off my 6:30 alarm, then start my morning manifestations, my morning mantras, my images, all of the things that I want to put into my day, all of the intentions I want to flow, and just getting that situated and set in that 30 minutes in the morning. Like I said, I typically am doing that in the state of wake and sleep, and so I do fall back to sleep. And then get up at 7 and do, my oil treatment, do my acupressure, my grounding mat, put some kind of clothes on if I'm not just going to drop very quickly. Because typically I'll just have my pajamas, and get up, get my daughter up, take care of the kids' backpacks, putting computers and water bottles and snacks if they need it. Just sitting with myself. I had started to do also some, a pinch of salt in the morning when I get that 7 o'clock alarm and I'm getting up, a little bit of salt on my tongue, and then the hydrogenated water. So that's a new thing. But yeah, so got up, got my daughter ready for school, got all my stuff situated. She wanted me to pick her up in Cartline, so I said I would definitely do that. She also needed some things for a class party that's going on tomorrow, so I was okay, well, I'm going to go to Costco and I'm going to do all these other things, and I'll get your stuff that you need. Dropped her off, then got my son up and ready for school. Got him situated with all of his snacks and things that he wanted to do. He was talking to me about going back to the puppy place, and in the morning, their dad texted me that they're having a grand opening celebration at their new facility down by the airport, and they're having food and whatever. So he wanted to know if the kids would come, and I did tell the kids and say that it was, their choice if, they wanted to go or not. And so I just left that open. But I dropped my son at school, and then I got home to do yoga, and I was doing my yoga. And then after yoga, I sat down and started to listen to more of the Kabbalah series that I have been listening to. And at a certain point, I looked at the time and I was like, I think it's really time for me to get myself ready and go. And so I went upstairs and I got myself dressed, and I'm still a little nervous to take a full shower because of my knees and the amount of like scab and crust on them. So I still did like a sink shower. And then I just, I got myself dressed for the day, and I took the empty priority boxes that I wasn't going to be able to use because my grandma only wants me to send one package to her. I finished packing up the package, taped it up. That went in the car. I got myself to Costco. I got a beautiful front spot, one of my favorite spots in all of the parking lot. And I was just like, thankful and grateful. Just, I love, having front spots. It just blessed me in that moment. And then I had to go into the customer service area because I had a executive membership check that they were supposed to send me. It never came in the mail for some reason. And so I had, every time I go to Costco and check out, it's like this big alert that comes on the register. They're like, we want to give you your money. And so I went in and I waited in line, and it took a while. It wasn't quick, so I was able to stand in the line in that moment and just observe what was going on around me, observe the people, observe everyone's, behaviors. I saw a lot of little kids, and I was just like appreciating, the beauty of these little kids. And then it was my turn, and, I talked to the guy, and he said, oh, it looks like, they tried to send it or they did send it. He wasn't sure. He verified my address. He was like, okay, we'll send it out. And then I told him, well, I'm going to go shopping today. And, I don't want to clog up the line with an alert. And so he was like, wait a minute. He ended up giving me a gift card that had the amount of the check on it. And he was like, nope, it's all taken care of. No need to wait for a check in the mail. This is, the amount right here. And, you're good to go. So I was very appreciative of that situation, and, went around to go get a cart and scan myself in. And, just walked through the store and enjoyed everything. I only had a few items that I was getting, but I still wanted to walk around a little bit. So I was literally like, I need conditioner and I need a big box of chips. And those were literally the only things on my list. But I ended up getting like a big container full of like this quinoa salad kind of thing. And I was like, oh, let me get hummus. And as I'm coming around the corner from like the meat section to like the dairy and like paper products, a gentleman stopped me. And this was like very deja vu because a month ago, this exact same guy stopped me in the exact same place and commented at the exact same things. So it was just like, I was very much in my head, very much in the busyness of shopping and what I needed and running through it, like a list of possibilities for purchase. And in my busyness and, coming around the corner, he caught my attention by just saying something about my cart being so empty and if I was getting everything on my list and everything I needed. And so in that moment, this gentleman who was just standing there being very intentional about connecting with me, and it wasn't necessarily like flirting. He wasn't asking for my number. He wasn't telling me that like I looked beautiful or anything like that. It wasn't any, like, to me, it wasn't like that. He was just commenting on my cart and what I had in there and shopping. And it was just, and then he ended it with like, have a beautiful day. And exactly the same thing happened a month ago with the same person, which is really interesting to me that in the same instance last month, I was very much in my head, very much busy and not observing what was going on around me. So I was like, that's interesting for me to recognize that again. This gentleman, stopped me, brought me back out of my head into my body and into my soul and brought me joy just by, like interacting. So yeah, that was an interesting thing to happen. But then also the funny thing too is on my way to Costco, it's like rewind. There was a car in front of me driving almost the whole way that had a license plate that said humanity. And I was like, oh, humanity, that's interesting. That's like, you don't see those kind of personal plates all the time. Very intentional, very grounded, very like beautiful. Person was in front of me almost the whole time I was driving to Costco. And then I, did my Costco shopping, had that interaction, got the conditioner, got a few other snacky things that the kids might enjoy. And then I went to check out and I did instead of going down a lane that I knew a checkout person to connect with them so I could gain something. Like in Kabbalah, it's all about like, are you trying to get energy from people? Are you trying to suck energy from people? Or are you trying to give? And instead of me trying to go in a line where there's somebody I know who I'm going to receive energy from, I'm going to go through, one of the personal checkout lanes and do it myself. Just because, that's what I felt. I felt led to do that. So I walked over to the checkout lane and started to do the whole thing. And the lady comes over and she was like, would you like me to help you? And I was like, what? And she's like, some people come over here because they want to do it themselves and they don't want any help. And she's like, but you don't have very many items and I'm more than happy to help you. And I just looked at her and smiled and said, thank you so much. I would love help. And so it was just such a beautiful moment to be there talking to her and engaging with her and allowing her to give something that she wanted to give and receiving that. And like, I don't know why I'm getting so emotional about this because it didn't make me emotional then, but it was just such a beautiful thing. So yeah, checking out at Costco, not a big thing, but it was beautiful. Checked out, got to the door. The guy, checked off my things. And I always make it a point to look at somebody's name tag and like thank them personally. Instead of just like saying thank you or, like I'll say like, thank you, Paul. I appreciate it. Or just like make it very direct and personal. Cause I appreciate that too, that people, take the time to notice. So that's just a personal thing I do. But anyway, so I went outside, I loaded up my stuff in the car and it was funny because my daughter and I were looking at the settings of the car and we're like, I know we can make this trunk go faster. And it's probably somewhere in the settings. And so I changed the setting to what I thought was a faster speed, but it was a lower open. And so now whenever the trunk opens, it's like not even fully open. And so you have to crouch under it and you're like hitting your head. And so I was like crouching, putting the stuff in the trunk and put the cart away. And then I went in the car and did the settings and, made it max open. So I fixed that. And as I was leaving Costco, I was driving behind the same car, Humanity. And I thought, that's funny. I am driving behind this car twice on my way to Costco and on the way home. And it's just crazy. And as I was thinking about it and thinking like what a pleasure it is to have this reminder of humanity and be in the moment and not be just like busy with everything. And so as I'm thinking that and driving home, My Florida man texted me, like, just, I'm thinking about you. I miss you so much today. And then I was able to just connect with him via text and just be appreciative about that energy that I was receiving from him. And so I went home and unloaded the stuff from Costco in the house. And then I got back in the car and went to the post office. And I was like, I'm here at the post office. I'm not going to trip and fall. I'm going to make it in and I'm going to make it out. And so I brought the extra boxes and put them in the little box holder. I brought the package that I was sending to my grandmother and sent that out. And I was like, yes, great. I love it. Got in the car. On my way to the school to sit and wait for my daughter, I called my mom and she was on her way to work. So we had a really good chat about like everything that's been going on with my grandma, how they set up the room for her. I told her that, there's a package coming. And then we talked about the move for my grandmother and how, like, of course it's stressful. And I, talked about the move for me and what my timelines were. And then I called my grandmother after I finished talking to my mom. And I told my grandmother, I sent a package for you. I put these things in there. I went to the house, nobody's really gotten back to me, just kind of laid it out there for her. And she was just like very emotional, very stressed out, very negative, and very like, I don't know, there was a lot of stuff going on there. And I had made a decision that I love my grandmother and I helped her out so much with everything because she is my grandmother and she is family. And when I went, she was living here. I would go to her house every Wednesday. I would hang out with her. I'd have lunch. I'd connect. We'd do some packing. We'd do some moving. We'd do some stuff. And it was just a really lovely thing. And then this week when I went on Wednesday, I was doing things in the house and I was just like, this feels really draining. This feels really empty. This feels really sad. There's a lot of really crazy heaviness around this. And I went away from her house and I just felt it. I felt drained. I felt sad. I felt like all the things. And I was like, I don't understand this. And as I've been learning the Kabbalah and learning about energies and how we like give and receive, and how when we receive energy that like we haven't earned, we have the bread of shame and we feel that like guilt about receiving something that we haven't earned. But then there's also this other side to it when we give too much, when we overgive. And we give so much that the person who's receiving it is not ready for it and not earned it. And we have this feeling of drained energy and like we take on some of the properties and some of the feelings of that person. And we create bread of shame in that way as well. And so I didn't see it in that day, but I saw it as I was looking back on that day, and I was like, wow. And I also felt it after I talked to my grandmother, but that, yes, over the years, she's always done things for us, for me and my sisters and my family. She's taken care of us. She supported us. She's like all these things she's done for us. And she continues to do it. And she is giving, overly giving. She's overly given for a long time. And I found myself in the position where I was overly giving my time and my support and my like efforts into like the situation. Yes, I will help, but I will help on my terms when it feels right. Because if I start over giving, I'm going to create this unbalanced dynamics. And so it was all this revelation of like the over giving and how I was feeling so drained. And how she talks to herself and how she talks about things and how she is just like so stressed out and so reliant on material things, and I'm just having a struggle with it all. So I need to check in with myself and figure out what's going on. But I set some boundaries and I felt that she was just upset about them. I was like, I am not going to ABC store and picking up boxes so that people can pack up dishes. I am not going into the house and packing up stuff. I am not. And I just kept saying these things and interjecting them very, very firmly that I am not doing these things. And I was really checking in with myself and trying not to be reactive and just being selfish in the moment. And I'm like, I love my grandmother. I love to be helpful. I cannot do everything. I have my own house to pack up. I have my own kids to tend to. I cannot be driving to her house every week, 45 minutes there and 45 minutes back. All the gas that takes up. I cannot be doing it. It's not sustainable for me. And then for me to just stand my ground and be like, I can't do it. I don't know how you're supposed to move through, but that's not for me to worry about. And to be okay with that, even though I could sense her stressed, all of the stressful things coming out. And she was very emotional. And she was like, what if things break? I'm not there to direct things. And it was for me that she is out. She does not feel like she has control. She doesn't know what's going. This whole situation is loss of control for her. And that is something that she has to work through. I can't do it for her. I can do certain things to help out, but I can't. And I was feeling drained and I was wondering why. And that's exactly why. So, that all happened and I was like, oh my gosh, so much to be, got my daughter from school, brought her home. I was doing more of the Kabbalah stuff and I did get to talk to my love or my Florida man for a little bit, which was really nice. And it's been interesting too, connecting with him over the last couple of weeks since I've been in Florida. And every time I talk to him, he's like, I'm tired. Work is stressing me out. I'm tired. I can see things he can't see. But I am always one to, if I see something in somebody else, I check in with myself. Is this a reflection or is this actually their thing? And so I'm just like, okay, check in with myself. And he just keeps complaining about being tired. And so I'm like, I'm going to be a different girlfriend. I'm going to be a different partner. I am going to not be a mother and not swoop in and give advice or give a solution or give I don't need to do that. My job is to support. My job is to encourage. He's a man. He has a strong head on his shoulders. He is a problem solver. I am like, okay, great. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to change it? How are you going to fix it? I believe you. I believe in you. I am behind you. I know you got this. You have a solution. I know it. And that's kind of how I've been encouraging him and behind him. And it's different for me because I want to step in and I want to be like, okay, so, wake up at this time and eat this don't eat breakfast, eat lunch, stop eating these things, stop drinking these things. I have so much knowledge behind me that I could share. And is that necessary? Is that what I'm supposed to be doing? So I'm shifting into a different position. I feel really good about it. But I also, like I said, I've noticed the pattern from last year with my person I was with to this year and how similar it is and what is my lesson in all of this. what am I supposed to work on? What soul correction is meant for me in this situation? Because it's come back in a different way. How do I move through it with clarity? And I've already asked for strength and clarity, and I do, and it's, it'll always come. The universe is always supporting you in giving you what you need and what you want, and it's never going to give you a situation you can't handle. So I, sitting with that, and just my thing is that I don't try to be a mind reader. I don't try to figure out what the other person is feeling unless they tell me, hey, I'm feeling this way. And so it was like, I was feeling like I was feeling fine. Honestly, I was like, okay, so he's saying this and I'm encouraging him to find the solution, and he's making excuses like, oh, it's just work. It's the sun. It's this, it's that. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm not you. I can't figure out a solution to your problem. Like, this is 100% you. And it's like the blue hair scenario. Somebody tells you, oh my gosh, I hate your blue hair. And you're like, I don't have blue hair. My hair is like brown. And they're just like, oh, it's so ugly, your blue hair. And you're just like, you're not offended because you know for a fact that you don't have blue hair. And so it doesn't bother you at all. It's just, you're just like weird. Like, what the actual fuck? Like, come on. So I don't assume and I don't mind read. And so if somebody tells me I'm tired, then I hear that and I see that. I don't read into it. But yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this. Anyway, so I got my daughter from school, got home, chilled out, watched more of my Kabbalah stuff. My son comes home from school. I get him from the bus. He's talking about wanting to go to the puppy place and wanting to see the neighbor's dog. So we get home, we knock on the neighbor's door, nobody answers. Okay, cool. We're not going to see the neighbor's dog. Then his dad texts and says, hey, are you guys coming? So I asked him, I was like, hey, do you want to go? My daughter's baking and she can't go. So I take him down to his work and, I'm accompanying him. I don't just send him in. So my ex says, come on in, let me show you around. So he's like taking both of us on a tour of the facility, showing us all the things, introducing us to these people. And he's like, oh, you remember these? I was like, no, I don't remember anybody. And then I asked my son, I was like, do you want to stay and hang out with your dad and just enjoy this, or do you want to go? And he's like, I'll stay. And his dad said, yeah, I'll bring him home. Great. So I leave, and my ex is like, are you sure you don't want any food? Are you sure you don't want any water? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And I was like, absolutely, I'm fine. Thank you very much for the offer, but I'm just going to go. So I go home and I hang out with my daughter, and then, do more of my Kabbalah lessons. And on the way back from the airport to the house, I called my man and no answer. So I was like, oh, he probably laid down. He probably fell asleep. He was saying he was so tired. And then later, it was 7 or 8 o'clock. My son comes home. My daughter's still baking. And this was a lot. I felt super, super drained by the end of the day because my daughter kept asking me for help with every single little detailed thing. Like, oh, can you come and look at this? Oh, can you come and look at this? Oh, can you come and look at this? And I was just like, bro, I was tapped out by the end of the day. Very, very, very tapped out. There's only so many decisions I can make personally, and there's only so many things I can help with. So I felt overextended. But, I said goodnight to my man via text, and I was like, we'll catch up with you tomorrow. And, it was a very late night. We got to bed maybe like 12. My daughter finished baking. My son was like ready. We laid down. We chilled out. And before all of this, too, at some point, I got a random text from some dude who was like, I met you online. We connected online. And then he sends a random, like, very inappropriate picture. And I was just like, first of all, I only asked, I was like, who is this? I don't know who you are. And without warning, inappropriate picture. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I didn't ask for this picture. I have a boyfriend. I'm not interested. And very quickly was like, diffuse, because I don't want that. I'm not a person who's into blocking people. Because I feel like that's a very reactive thing to do, a very negative thing. Of course, if it's getting violent, if it's moving in a direction that's not appropriate, like fully not appropriate, like in the realm of abuse, then that's a place where you reassess. But it was not. It was just like random and weird. And I was just like, what is going on? This is so weird. So I don't know what to do with that. I just like diffused it and deleted it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, so weird. And, got the kids ready for bed, went to bed, snuggled with my son, and we talked about the weekend and just slowly drifted off to sleep. And now I had started my period, and I was like, okay, I understand now why I've been so emotional. I understand why I've been so crampy and tired. It makes sense because this came. And so I was actually kind of excited to have my period, because I was like, ooh, with all this new Kabbalah stuff, it's like talking about with pain comes expansion. And I was like, but I have pain every month on my period. Does that mean I get to expand more than men do? Because women have their cycles every month and they go through pain every month. And I was like, oh, this is so awesome. I am so excited, because that means every month I have an opportunity to use this pain to expand and to get clarity and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. So it was kind of funny, because I was like, I can't wait for it to come. But yeah, so now it came, and I realized like all the symptoms were pointing towards that, and that, so I was like, yes, I get to use this pain. But yeah, it was just such a crazy day. Nothing was really planned out. I moved through it. It was exactly what needed to happen. There was a lot of like interesting things that popped up. But yeah, so I've been really loving this Kabbalah stuff that I've been learning, and just being more aware of like, our lives are scripted. They were a movie that was already scripted, and there's multiple layers to this movie, where it's like a choose your own story kind of thing. And each time we get more of the Creator's light and we expand our vessel, we elevate to a better movie, which is still it still has the same script, but there's certain things that are changed and better and different. So I'm still learning all about that stuff. But the free will that we have is to be reactive or non-reactive. That is really the only free will we have. So it's like every sneeze, every word, every coincidence, quote unquote, like the angel numbers that we see, or the certain cars or the certain people. It's all scripted. It's all gonna happen that way no matter what. It's only when we choose in our free will to be reactive to something or non-reactive to something, and that is what we choose, and that is how we expand, and that's how we get more of the Creator's light and become more like the Creator and more like the universe and more like the unlimited energy that is available and out there. So it's like all these really cool concepts and things that I've been learning and just excited about. So yeah, I've just been moving through all of that, learning more of that, feeling more of like if I feel like I'm reactive to something, checking in with myself and, like they said, pause and just give gratitude to what's happening no matter what, and not not pointing the blame at other people and seeing what other people need to work on, because I'm really good at that. I will be honest that I am very, very good at looking at other people and being like, oh, he needs to work on that or she needs to work on that. But then when it comes to me, I'm like, I don't know what I need to work on. So that is something too that I need to be more aware of. So yeah, that was like through the day, a lot of stuff, a lot of insights, a lot of excitement, a lot of joy, ups and downs all over the place. So I really thank you guys so much. This has gone way, way over time. I do appreciate you tuning in and listening to me. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Like, share, subscribe, comment, all of the things or none of the things. I'm just here hanging out on this space, just for myself, following my script, keeping it going. And I love you guys so much. Have an amazingly, fabulously awesome day. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Peace.